Hi everyone, welcome to Let's Go Outdoors. I'm your host, Michael Short. On today's program, we sit down and we chat with the head of the Alberta Backcountry Hunters and Anglers about the potential issues surrounding the proposed mines along the eastern slopes.
To be honest, I think we're gratified that it appears that our voices are being listened to. I just checked our email uh, writing campaign or tool that we utilized, and we actually just broke 3,000 letters of concern that were generated specifically off to Premier Kenney as well as Minister Savage. And those actually were all from hunters and anglers who are very concerned about what's going on. Unfortunately, where we are a little disappointed is it's only talking about leases going forward, as well as any of the leases that were sold off essentially in December being unwound or canceled. That means that the leases prior to December of 2020 are still in place and exploration is still continuing. So, unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any movement on that front, but we're hopeful that with increased pressure from hunting and angling, our voices will be heard.
Do you have a sense of what kind of size that is in terms of active coal mining and exploration work?
In terms of active, no, I don't have those numbers. I do know that the area in question is a little bit less than, say, the Bristol Bay project, which has been commented on a lot by the public. And I think that's just under 1.5 million hectares that are available for potentially being mined.
So there's still, as you say, a real potential for, if they don't do it right, for some serious environment concerns in terms of the health of streams and tributaries and that type of thing. So let's talk a little bit about. I mean, you guys have been doing some serious work in the backcountry as of late in terms of over the last number of years, a lot of stream restoration projects, that type of thing. The coal situation, did that pose an immediate threat to some of the work that you've done?
Not to our immediate work, but it's actually going to endanger the work that we had planned to do. And I believe that other organizations will also be equally impacted. I would also point out that it's likely going to impact some of the restoration projects that Alberta Environment and Parks have been putting in place for the West Slope cutthroat trout in-stream nurseries. All those nurseries or anything along that watershed is now essentially in danger due to this development. So it is of grave concern to us, primarily because we just came off a huge fundraising stint, essentially. In the last year, we've got a fair amount of dollars that we were looking to apply towards remediation projects. So we have to now kind of sit back and evaluate where we want to spend our money wisely so it doesn't essentially be placed under undue risk.
In terms of your campaign, then, are you still moving ahead with collecting signatures and messages from folks?
Yes, if anything, actually, we're asking our followers, as well as our supporters and anyone else that's involved in the hunting and angling scene to weigh in. One thing that we've noticed is hunting and angling, the voice seems to be dwindling for whichever reasons, and no other organization seems to have actually stepped up and taken on this fight. So we're asking anyone and everyone who's got a vested concern or an interest within these areas, and that would include Southern Alberta, Central Alberta, and even parts of Northwestern Alberta, to send those messages in, primarily because we are being heard. We've had feedback from our bureaucrats as well as our elected officials that they were unaware that these areas were of specific concern to hunting and angling.
I guess maybe I know the answer to this question, but were you disappointed when you heard that there was a rescinding of the 1976 coal policy and what was kind of going through your mind at that time?
We were actually really surprised, primarily because the province, to their credit, has actually taken a number of steps to open up public consultations for anything that would impact hunting and angling. The fact that the coal policy was rescinded without any public consultation was of grave concern, obviously, for a number of reasons. But from a hunting and angling perspective, likely not a lot of people are aware of this, but the original coal policy that was put in place in 1976, that was actually started, like the ball was started rolling by hunting and angling groups back in the late 60s and early 70s. They're the ones who actually kicked up such a fuss about coal mining again within these specific areas that actually prompted the government of Alberta to actually carry 3 years of, execute 3 years of public consultations. And why it wasn't done when the provinces are rescinding it, it's beyond us.
That's an interesting point. I mean, I guess there are many examples where hunters and anglers have stepped up to the plate and have raised concerns about environmental issues, about conservation issues, and again, here we are, Neil, where once again your voices are starting to be brought to the forefront and raising the alarm.
Yeah, and what we did to essentially put our money where our mouth is, essentially, is that we've actually joined on the judicial review that was launched by the ranchers in August of 2020. So we did apply to become the interveners from the hunting and angling perspective, because again, we saw that there was no voices arising from our sector, which again was quite puzzling given our long and storied history as stewards of the land within that area. So when we made that decision, it immediately kicked off a whole bunch of work. So the Alberta board, to their credit, has spent a lot of hours working on this topic, doing the research, supporting the legal intervening case, and basically just doing a fair amount of self-education, basically, on the policies, how they evolved, and the potential impacts that it would have on hunting and angling.
So what are your next steps at this point?
Well, as of 5 minutes ago, the first hearing for the judicial review started. So we're going to see if the government is going to be successful in their strike application. And what that means for the general person is they're looking to basically toss this judicial review out, saying that there has no merit. So if that happens, we're simply going to continue the grassroots campaign, which is getting our followers and our members to, again, advocate to their elected officials and say that this is not right. They need to express concern that there was no public consultation. Other groups are doing a fantastic job of detailing the environmental impacts, the wildlife habitat impacts, et cetera. We're primarily concerned about the lack of public consultation for this.
Is there an area that you feel really needs to be, you point out that some groups are really diving in on the environmental impacts. Do we know enough about the potential, not just on fish, but to me, it's all the things that support the life of the fish, where we're talking invertebrates, or we're talking the riparian area, we're talking sedimentation, spawning, if that is impacted by chemicals that may leach out from a mine site. Do you feel, Neil, that we need to really be focusing, or is that too much inside baseball, as they say, or too much in the weeds?
I don't think so. I think everyone would serve to actually do a little bit of due diligence. Just read the various studies, and there's, I don't want to say hundreds, but there's dozens of studies out there that have illustrated that coal mining or any disturbance of the landscape is going to have some sort of consequence, whether it be on the mammals, whether it be on the fish, air quality, water quality, you name it. There's lots of studies out there. I would also ask that we literally look in our backyard. If you look across the border within Elk Valley, they've got some issues there. We don't think that it's a great idea to replicate those issues. And that being said, we do acknowledge that there are new techniques, there are new technologies and processes that are being put in place. But unfortunately, those are not foolproof. There's not much we can say past that. Just again, we really do urge anyone who's interested in this topic to become educated. There are plenty of scientific studies that are available for everyone to read.
Well, if a hunter, angler, or just another conservationist out there wants to lend their voice to your position, how do they go about doing that, Neil?
They can actually join our Facebook page, or if you're not a big fan of the social media, head over to our website. It's backcountryhunters.org. Look under the Alberta chapter and then look under issues, and you'll see our Take Action campaign, where you can actually automatically send a letter to your MLA as well as your MP just by populating your name as well as your postal code.
Well, we thank you for the continued work that you and your organization is doing on behalf of all Albertans that are concerned about this move. I guess we can thank that at least we've got an opportunity to sit back and well, not sit back, but at least catch our breaths and put something forward in terms of a bigger, stronger voice. Neil, thanks so much. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for the opportunity, Michael. Have a good one.